It is time. Hello, hi, it's me, the mushroom girl on your computer slash phone slash whatever you're watching this on. Your TV, maybe. Ugh. Anyway, moving away here. It's time for more. It's time for more of the Gay Fox game. We just reached chapter 5 of Aspen's route.
Oh, you didn't finish this one.
This one, yeah. Day 1 of chapter 5. The familiar jingle of the Bell House's door greets me as I walk in, for what could be the last time. Once Aspen starts working at the new location next week, I won't have much reason to visit this one anymore. The scent of baking bread and brewing coffee, mixed with the clean earthiness of all the plants, is something that I'll miss too.
Hey, welcome to the Bell House.
It's our girl.
Oh, it's Miho. Hey, Lena.
She tilts her head over her shoulder to yell back towards the kitchen.
Aspen, your girlfriend's here.
There's a muffled sound from the back, and a couple of the other patrons turn to look at the source of the shout. Lena ignores them entirely.
She'll be right out. Thanks.
Lena will also be moving to the new location when it opens. Aspen told me she got to pick which staff she wanted to invite to the new store, but she doesn't want Lena to know that. She'd never live it down. Oh. This is no one else in line. I lean against the counter to talk with Lena while I wait for Aspen.
I was just thinking about how I'm gonna miss this place. It must be like that for you too, right?
I don't know. I haven't thought about it too much. Maybe I'll miss it when I get there. But why get a head start on that when I've still got another week here?
Good point.
I'm sure Lena and I have different feelings about the Bell House anyway. I've got a lot of special, treasured memories here. But for her, it's just part of her routine. Kinda like how the library is important to both Aspen and me, but not in the same way. Aspen herself comes out from the kitchen carrying a small plate of strawberry croissant on it. Lena locks on instantly.
Well, you still got croissants left?
Not anymore. I was saving this one for Miho.
Aww.
Wow, abusing your powers already?
It's not the first time. Besides, I've noticed we go through blueberry muffins suspiciously fast when you're working the counter.
Oh, dang it. I thought I was being sneaky.
Not sneaky enough, so shh.
Aspen puts a finger to her lips as she hands me the illicit treat.
Wow, it's been forever since I've had stolen food.
It's not stolen. It's just selectively available.
Right. I'm gonna go select something available from the rack myself. See you later, Miho.
Bye, Lena.
Sure enough, she plucks a muffin from the display case on her own, on her way to the back of the store. I take a bite of my croissant, getting strawberries and cream all over my hands. It's as messy as it is delicious. Aspen reaches up and wipes away a dollop of cream from my nose.
Go sit down and I'll bring you something to drink. What would you like?
Oh, it's okay. You don't have to do that.
I want to, though. What'll you have?
Well... another foxtail latte, please.
Of course. I don't even have to ask.
Aww.
It is my drink, after all.
Yes, I'm well aware. And I'll have it right out.
I carry my croissant to my favourite seat by the window and sit down, enjoying the familiar view. It's changed a bit since I first sat down here half a year ago, but it's still mostly the same on the outside. How many time skips do we have? I believe last time she'd only been here for 4 months, so let's time skip a couple ones. Only a couple weeks left until the new year. People bustle around outside trying to make the best of what's left of this one. I think I began to understand why it's important to people. Why it's worth numbering the years when you'll only get to see so many of them. I spot Aspen approaching, carrying a drink in each hand. I move my plate out of the way to make room for her as she sits down.
Here you are, a foxtail latte for its namesake.
Thanks! It's delicious.
You haven't even tried it yet.
So? I don't need to. I just know.
It has been a hit with the customers too, I must say. more than any of the other beverages I've created. Clearly I have my wonderful muse to thank for that. You've left a mark on this place too.
That's why I get them for free forever, right?
Or as long as I'm working here at least. You know, maybe Lena was a little bit right about me abusing my powers.
I won't tell her you said that.
Good.
There's a growing list of things not to tell Lena. Aspen takes a sip of her own drink and looks impressed.
Damn, that is good.
She removes the lid to let it cool, which isn't something I've seen her do before.
What are you doing after this? I'm only on a 5, by the way.
That's fine. I'll probably just head back to the library. I don't have much else to do today.
Jealous?
Why? What about you?
I'm only working half my shift here today. After lunch, I'm going to the new store to help Regina with some final inspections, and then doing interviews for new hires. It's a lot.
You're doing all of that in one day?
There aren't that many days left. We should have been done with hiring already, but one person changed his mind last minute. So now...
She trails off and ends with a sigh, a combination I know all too well.
Well, I could go on, but I won't. Who would have thought opening a brand new restaurant would be so much work?
Although she laughs, I can't help but be a little concerned. Although it's been over a month since Aspen decided to take a break from writing, it's still way too soon for her to be overworking herself again.
Are you sure you're gonna be alright? I mean, you're gonna be this busy until it opens, right?
If not busier, yes. It won't be fun, but I'll manage.
I've heard that one before, you know.
I know. I mean it though. Really. The soft opening is in 10 days. Even after that, there'll be plenty to do. Maybe more than there is now.
Not helping Aspen.
But eventually things will settle down, and I don't have to sell my soul in the process too. That's the big difference. I can handle being tired. It was the dread and anxiety that I couldn't take.
Compared to before, there's something different in the way Aspen speaks. When she would talk about writing and how she felt, it was obvious that even she didn't believe the words she was saying, but now I can tell from the light in her eyes that she means it.
Okay. You're pretty determined, huh?
I am. It felt good to make my mind up about something. I want to give it my very best, so that I can feel good when I look back on it too. Besides, I'd say that growing the new Bell House into Wellington's most popular cafe would be a more than adequate way to be remembered. But I'll settle for it being a hidden gem too.
As long as you're selling strawberry croissants and foxtail lattes, I don't see how it could be anything else.
Hopefully. Word of mouth from the first few days will be very important. If we fail to make a good first impression, then it could be hard to recover.
You're worrying too much. Everyone already loves the Bell House. I'm sure they'll love yours too.
Me? Worry too much? No way.
Uh-huh.
Well, you're probably right. Besides, I have a great team too. With their help, I'm sure it'll turn out okay.
That's more like it. You and Lena are gonna do great.
I can't let her show me up after all, especially as the store manager. Oh god, I really am starting to sound like her.
That's another one for the list, right?
Naturally. Speaking of Lena, I need to get back to work. I'm busy this afternoon, but I'm free tomorrow after work.
Apologies, my mother walked in talking about earbuds.
I'm always free when you are.
It's a date then.
We say goodbye with a kiss like usual before Aspen has to leave. I finished finish up the last couple of bites of my croissant on my own, watching out the window. At one point, even the bell house wasn't here. I don't know what that was. I don't know what was, but it's hard for me to picture it as anything else. At one point, it was just someone's dream, an idea or a half-formed concept. It took a lot to turn that into the little restaurant that I know and love today. For the new Bell House, Aspen will be responsible for the start of its story, for making it more than just a dream. I have a lot of faith in her, though. Aspen's great at stories. Seeing her enthusiasm and determination return is such a relief. Her path forward is clear, at least for now, and I'm glad for her. I really am. Still, I can't help but wish I had something like that for myself too. A goal to work towards or a dream to fulfill. At first, Julia let me work at the library so I could have some structure in my everyday life and to get more used to being around other people, but that's not something I need as much anymore. I don't mind my job, but the fact that I'm here right now and come and go whenever I feel like it kind of proves that what I do here isn't 100% necessary. Still, it's home. It's a place to go back to while I figure out what's next. So after cleaning up my trash and finishing my drink, that's exactly what I do. At breakfast, Juliet and I set up a table as she prepares a place for free people like usual.
I forgot to tell you. Aspen won't be here today.
Oh, I see. Is everything alright?
Yeah, she's just busy. She said she doesn't know how often she'll be able to come by until the new Bell House opens.
I understand. She must have a lot of responsibilities to take care of right now.
Mm-hmm. I was worried about how much work she has to do. I still am. But she's pretty confident in herself. So maybe it'll be okay.
It's only natural that you'd be concerned. You care about her a lot. I'm sure she's glad that you worry about her, even when she tells you not to. I have faith in her too. When Aspen puts her mind to something, she's unstoppable.
Hold on.
One of my earliest memories with her came from her first visit to the library when she was trying to find a certain book on the shelves. Only it wasn't there because I was reading it at the time and had it in my room. She asked if she could borrow it, promising to return it the next day. I told her she could take more time with it, but she stayed up all night reading it and brought it back like she promised. It wasn't a short book by any means either. I imagine she's treating her new role with similar focus and determination, which is why I'm sure she'll succeed in the end.
Yeah, you're right. I can't spend all my time worrying about her. I have to trust her to live her life too. Even though I said that last time, I understand it better this time.
That's good. It can be a difficult lesson to learn.
That's for sure.
Juliet laughs, and then we start to eat. It's a little quiet without Aspen, or even the sound of her silverware, especially since Juliet's having a meal is entirely symbolic anyway. I try to eat fast just to get it over with, so she doesn't need to eat. What are the rules? I'm sure Juliet would explain it more, but what are the rules? When we finish and clean up, Juliet lingers around the kitchen for a bit, and that means she has something to say. Sure enough, once everything is done, she clears her throat.
Miho, there's something I wanted to ask you.
Sure. What's up?
Earlier this morning, I saw that I'd received a reply to a message that I never expected to be answered. A couple months ago, I managed to find someone online that I thought might be related to your friend Zhang Ying, and reached out to confirm.
Oh shit.
They never got back to me, and so I didn't mention it to you. But then today, She finally responded and said that yes, they are distant relatives. She said that if you'd like to talk with her, she'd be happy to tell you a bit about Xiangying, or at least what she knows. Is that something you'd like to do?
Oh, wow. I guess you wouldn't be shocked that I never even thought about them maybe having a family.
I thought that might be the case. You're welcome to think about it and get back to me later.
In my mind, Xiongyan was always alone, but with me. They belonged to the forest and to the rest of the world equally. But it makes sense they weren't really alone. They had people who loved them too. It hits me that there's so much I don't know about Xiongyan. Really, I barely know anything. Every minute shared with me was only represented a very small part of their life. In a sense, they may as well be a stranger. I'm a little afraid that knowing more about them could change how I feel about them too. But I decided that's a risk I'm willing to take. I'd rather know more about who they are, really. I'd rather know more about who they really were.
Nah, I don't need to. I'd like to talk to her.
Wonderful. I'll let her know then. I believe she's in America, so our times are fairly different. Shall I see if tomorrow evening would work?
Sure, that sounds good. Thanks. And thanks for tracking her down and messaging her in the first place.
It's my pleasure. It's what I specialize in, after all. I'll let you know tonight if I hear back from her.
Okay. I'm going to see Aspen when she gets off work, but I'll be back sometime this evening.
I'll see you then. Have a great day, Miho.
Have a good sleep.
So there's a lot I'm looking forward to talking with Aspen about today. I set myself up in the library and take care of my chores like usual, but it's hard to think about anything else. The afternoon sunshine draws us to the park once Aspen gets off her work. Instead of staying indoors at her apartment or the library, she tells me all about her day at work, and in exchange I tell her about my upcoming call.
Wow! Juliet's incredible, isn't she? I had no idea she was setting that up.
Me either. It was a total surprise. She said she sent the message a long time ago, though, and it took months before she got a response.
Well, I can certainly empathize with that. At least in this case, the response turned out to be a good one.
Hopefully. I'm a little bit nervous, though.
About what?
Just about what they might say. What if it turns out Changyin is totally different from what I thought? What if they were actually a terrible person?
Then that would be true whether you knew it or not. They do say ignorance is bliss for a reason. If I were you, though, I would want to know the truth no matter what.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe someday I'll be able to do something without worrying about it the whole time.
If you figure out the secret, let me know. Lena sure isn't sharing it. I think she's somewhere around here too. At least she mentioned that before she clocked out.
Is that why we're here?
Not at all. I adore Lena, but I'll be spending more time with her than without her for the next month. I just wanted to appreciate fresh air before I forget what it's like.
Put a ton of plants in your bell house too! Did you know that plants help us breathe? I just learned that on TV!
Aww.
I was aware, but I'm glad for you. Plants are on the list though. I also want to put in a reading corner with a small library for people to browse while they visit. Regina's allowing me to set it up and decorate how I see fit, so I'm being as self-indulgent as I can.
A cafe with a library in it? That sounds perfect for you! Where would you get the books from? Juliet?
I was planning to ask her for some, yes, as well as a few from my own collection, and Lena's, and anyone else who'd like to donate. Maybe Juliet would even let us share books, so you can return them at either place.
How would you keep track of it? Would you hire someone to do it?
Well, I happen to know a certain someone who's very experienced in that position.
Ooh.
But no, we would simply have to use the honor system, like Juliet used to.
Damn.
I still don't get how she doesn't worry about people stealing them. I mean, I do, but I don't.
I think it makes sense. Maybe it's even impossible to steal from a library. After all, they're meant for sharing books. If you take one home and give it to a friend instead of returning it, it still served its purpose.
Or just rots in your loft somewhere.
Or if you hold on to it for years and then only return it much later, you still returned it. That's the beauty of books. They can always wait. My New Year's resolution is to get through at least half of my backlog, personally.
Your New Year what?
Resolution. It's like a goal that you set for yourself for the year. And then usually give up on by February, but let's not get ahead of ourselves.
That sounds neat. Did you have one this year?
I did. It was to finish and hopefully release a book. It may not have come true, but I'm happy with the outcome, all the same.
I should try to think of one for next year myself. Maybe I'll try to get through half my reading backlog too.
Do you have one of those?
Nope. So I'm doing good already. Maybe it'll be to read 10 books or 100 books. I don't know what a good number to try is.
Probably somewhere in between. You don't have to make it about reading, though. You don't have to make one at all if you don't want to. Only if it helps motivate you.
I'll think about it. I've been thinking that I need something else to do with my life as it is.
Something else?
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, the library's fine and all. But I'm not really excited about it the same way you are about the Bell House. Yesterday, I was thinking about how Juliet doesn't need me to help her. She just gave me the job as a favor, even if she said otherwise. I don't really need that favor anymore, though.
You've outgrown it.
Yeah. I have other things I can rely on.
One of them links arms with me.
Always.
Not far away there's an empty bench alongside the path, and Aspen leads us to it so we can sit down. We've been walking for almost an hour now, so a break is nice. Aspen takes off her hat and sets her purse on the ground between us. Then I stretch out my legs. We're not the only ones out here enjoying the afternoon. The park's alive and bustling. Bikers, joggers, dog walkers, and skaters all dodge around each other, plus the regular pedestrians like Aspen and me. Some of the dogs even run around off their leashes, ditching the road entirely. People are playing all sorts of sports too, and I can even tell the difference between some of them by now. I'm still a bit confused on what football is though. I even spot Lena, though she doesn't see us. Aspen pokes me in the side.
Oh, look over there. Think he's lost?
Aw, little guy. Cross and Mustard Dog is sniffing around. There's a break in the foot traffic around us for now, so I don't see anyone watching him.
His owner's probably around here somewhere. Maybe he ran ahead of them.
The dog looks over at us, like he knows we're talking about him. I take a couple steps. He takes a couple steps toward us, sniffing the air, with his tail wagging just a little bit.
Oh, come here. Here, puppy.
The puppy, Aspen's right about that, slowly creeps closer towards Aspen's outstretched hand. I sit still, not wanting to spook him. He seems friendly but cautious. 1 step, 2 step, he never stops sniffing. Then he runs forward, bites the handle of Aspen's purse, and takes off with it. Aspen jumps to her feet.
Hey, stop. Come here.
The dog doesn't even look back as it runs away, dragging Aspen's purse with it, the contents starting to spill out as they go. I run after the puppy, who's going further into the park, not wasting my breath shouting. I've been way too much. I've been running way too much these past couple months. I could transform him, but I think that would probably scare him even more. I know better than to chase a dog, but I don't have much other choice. I hope I can just wear him out and then catch him. Glancing back, I see Aspen following behind me, gathering up everything she can. The puppy also looks back in my direction every now and then, changing directions at random. Some of the other people who see us lunge for the dog and try to block him off, but he dodges all of them and keeps running. I'm a little impressed. He zigzags again, but this time it's lucky for me. He's heading straight towards Lena.
Hey, Lena!
She spins around to see me, and I can tell she's trying to process what's happening. The dog is coming closer to her than he is to me.
Catch him!
Luckily my words get through. Lena crouches, already warmed up. The puppy sees her and starts to go in a different direction away from both of us.
Not so fast!
Lena jumps for him and flaps her wings to carry herself even further. She crashes to the ground just in front of the dog, who scrambles over himself to try and stop him again.
Gotcha.
I reach them just in time to grab him by the scruff of his neck. He immediately drops Aspen's purse like a thief who's been caught. Not that I would know. Aspen herself is slowly approaching, her arms full as she tries not to drop anything.
Not quite how I expected to end my workout today.
Thank you, Lena. You're literally a lifesaver.
Whoa! Aspen said literally! That means it's serious.
I make sure Aspen's purse is safe before I let go of the pup. I've been tossing and turning in my arms. Aspen walks up and wags a finger at him.
And as for you, hasn't anyone taught you any manners?
The dog also walks away from us, but not very far, so they can watch instead. He reminds me of a little bit of Silver. I hope he doesn't turn into a person.
I've seen that dog around before. Pretty sure he's a stray. I haven't heard of him taking anyone's stuff like that, though.
Got anything good in your purse?
Not if you're a dog. There's just...
While digging around in her now refilled purse, Aspen stops, then pulls out a smooshed plastic wrapper.
I guess there's the other half of my lunch that I forgot about.
The dog wags his tail and barks in Aspen's direction, and she frowns.
This is what you were after, wasn't it? It really wasn't that good, I promise.
She unwraps the remnants of a sandwich and tosses it to the dog, who gobbles it down in just a couple bites, before looking at us for more. If he's a stray like Lena said, that could be the best meal he's had in days.
That's all I have.
Lena and I are both empty-handed.
What should we do with him? What if he's not a stray and someone's looking for him?
They must not be looking very hard. I've seen him a couple days in a row now.
Poor thing. He seems so friendly when he isn't running off with my things.
I stoop down to try and pet him, and he lets me. He even licks my hand a couple times.
Maybe we can take him back to the library with us. Juliet might know what to do.
Well, she is known for helping strays. I'm not sure how we'd get him back there, though.
I can carry him. He doesn't look too heavy.
Carry him?
Yeah, why not? If he'll let me pick him up, at least.
Just... please be careful.
I will.
I wonder how many strays has been dropped on Juliet's door by now. I crouch down and approach him slowly, keeping my hands out for him to sniff. I also try to wag my own tail to help reassure him. Instead of running away, he just flops onto his back, asking for a belly rub. I do that with one hand while I slide down underneath him. He's so lean that I can see his ribs, then I scoop him up. He whiffs in surprise and tries to escape. Once I get him situated, he's pretty calm.
That wasn't so bad.
Both Aspen and Lena crowd in to pet him, now that he can't get away. He sits there and takes it all in stride.
Okay, he's not that heavy, but let's get going anyway.
Alright, I'll text Juliet so that she isn't totally blindsided when we get there. See you tomorrow, Lena.
Later, boss! Later, mijo! Oh, later, puppy!
Still leaning against my shoulder, the dog doesn't mind when Aspen moves to follow. Just wave goodbye to Lena. Although the dog starts to squirm at some point, I manage to carry him all the way home. He sheds and smells different, he sheds and definitely smells like a stray dog, but I don't mind it too much. He can't help it after all. Aspen also holds him a couple times. For some reason, he's more antsy with her than with me, so our turns don't last very long. We arrive at the library. Juliet's walking just inside.
Oh my, isn't he precious?
The puppy thumps his tail against my chest as Juliet comes over to pet him. People just can't stop themselves from doing that, I guess.
Let's take him upstairs.
I don't want to set him down here with the last few library patrons and all the books. Other than his initial chase, he's been pretty calm, but that could change once he's recharged. We all go to my room, where I finally put the dog on the floor. He starts sniffing around immediately, although there isn't that much to sniff. I watch for any signs of trouble, but he seems good.
I like him a lot more when he isn't robbing me.
He just didn't know how to ask politely.
There's a half a glass of water on my desk that I set down on the ground so the dog can drink some. He slips as much as he can. The glass is too big for his tongue to reach all of it.
I'll go fetch a bowl of water and see if we have anything that would be safe for him to eat. And then we can talk about what to do with him.
Aspen sits down on my bed, but I sit on the floor. The dog walks over to sniff me. Just a second. Mother seems to have set her sights on interrupting me constantly today. Right. Oh god, my neck.
Seems he's already taken a liking to you.
His fur is stiff and coarse, and he's bony. He can't be that old, which makes me think he must have spent most of his short life as a stray. Juliet returns soon, setting the water and also a bowl of some banana slices, bread, and a slice of cheese.
It's not the healthiest meal, but it should keep his belly full for a little bit.
The dog digs in, like he didn't just eat half a sandwich earlier. The bowl slides across the floor from the force of his munching, and he smacks his lips when he tries to chew the banana.
Is it okay if he stays here for a while? I'll take care of him. Even if it's just until we find his real owner, if he has one. I don't want to just kick him back out.
Oh, heavens! I wouldn't dream of just tossing him back out on the street. But taking care of a pet, even for a couple of days, is a lot of work. Are you sure?
I'm sure. Whatever it is, I'll do it.
I've only had this pup here for around a couple hours, but I already know that I don't want anything bad to happen to him. Scrounging for food, stealing, searching for food, stealing, not having anywhere else to go to. They're all things I can relate to.
I don't see why not, then. I'll keep an eye out as well for anyone who may be searching for a lost dog like him.
Thanks. I don't think he has any people, though. I think he's all on his own.
You may be right. Still, we should do our best to make sure.
Right. I'll look out for any posters or missing signs.
After he finishes his meal, the dog flops down by me. He stares at me but doesn't move, instead fighting to keep his eyes open. Now that he's eaten more, he does seem totally exhausted.
He must be in doggy paradise right now after spending a few days in the park. I know I sure would be.
I look up at Juliet and smiling.
Yeah. I think he'll like staying here.
When I wake up, the dog is already awake and staring at me from the floor, ready to go. Two of us go downstairs and join Juliet for breakfast, where she's prepared another bowl of fruit and bread for the dog. He eats it, but even if he's only going to be here for a couple days, he'll need more than people food.
I think I'm gonna go buy some dog food for him. I can get that at most stores, right?
Yes, it shouldn't be difficult to find.
I check my wallet. I have plenty of money since Juliet pays me for my library work, but there's hardly anything else. There's hardly anything else I need to buy myself. This will be as good as a use as any.
Do you mind watching him while I go?
Not at all.
Thanks.
God, Juliet is way too nice now. I kneel down and pet the dog's head. I've already learned one of his favourite spots, right at the base of his ears, and give him a good scratching.
Okay, stay here with Juliet, alright?
I really am turning into Aspen with how much I talk to the dog. Although he stays put for a moment, he follows me to the front door before I leave, gently pushing back with my foot.
No, you can't come with me.
The dog paws at my leg, looking at me expectantly. Once more I let him outside to relieve himself, but even after he finishes, he won't go back to the library without me.
You're not gonna take no for an answer, are you?
Sighing, I accept my fate. I let Julia know about the change of plans, the dog and I start walking. He stays near me, sometimes going off the paths to sniff something, but he always returns. Each time he starts to walk away, I feel a tinge of worry that he won't come back. But that possibility is just something I have to accept. Even if some details of my past have gotten slightly hazy for me, I can still remember how it feels to need to run and escape. If the dog decides that that's what he needs to do, then it's not my place to stop him. Still, I'm relieved every time he stops sniffing and returns to my side. Eventually we get into town and find a pet store. There's a sign on the window saying that dogs are allowed inside, which is what I was hoping for. A bell rings when we walk in, although it doesn't sound as pretty as the one at the bell house. I wander around until I find the dog food section. There are more choices here than I thought. Big bags, small bags, red bags, blue bags. I'm not sure which one to pick. The dog sniffs each of them in turn. I watch to see if one gets his interest more than the others, but doesn't seem like it's picky. I try to find which one of the most similar looking dog on the front, which is the most similar looking dog on the front.
Guess I'll go with this one.
Out of the front, the dog veers off down another aisle and I follow behind to see what's got its attention. Of course it's the toys aisle. Just like in the food section, there are dozens on display. He sniffs them all, even more furiously than the kibble. There's a small basket of plastic dog toys on the ground, and he pulls one out with his mouth. It looks like a cartoon squirrel, and its tail squeaks when he bites it. He gives it a good shake, getting a few more squeaks in the process. His tail wags even faster than his head, and he looks at me eagerly. I reach for the toy, but he hops away and then crouches down, tail still going, daring me to try and take it again. I do, but he instantly jumps out of reach once more, shaking and squeaking the toy again to...
Okay, you can keep it. But come on, I gotta pay.
It's been a long time since I've stolen anything. Now that I can actually pay for things, I can't see myself stealing again. I feel kinda guilty about things I took in the past, but I only ever did what I had to do to survive. Once I had support from others in my life and the help I needed to get my feet on the ground, stealing stopped being something I feel like I had to do. At the counter, I used 2 fingers to hold the slobbery toy so the cashier can scan it before returning it to the dog. I took my bag of food under one arm and then we start walking home. We reach a crosswalk, arriving right as the light changes to send traffic across our path. Come to a halt while I wait, switching which arms I used to carry the bag since it's getting sore. Oh god. But the puppy doesn't stop with me. Instead, he doesn't even look back as he runs onto the road, eager to get back to the library. A car horn blares as it barrels towards us down the road, too close to be able to brake in time. Oh god, no! Fuck you! I feel like I'm moving in slow motion as I drop the bag of food and dash out onto the road, despite knowing how dumb that is. I grab the dog as I sprint by, barely hauling ourselves out of the way of the passing car. The driver understandably gives me a rude gesture as he goes by. The dog, meanwhile, looks offended at me. Looks at me as if offended by the rough treatment, my hand still holding him tightly.
You dummy! You could have died right there!
Squirrel toy in his mouth squeaks as he squirms in my grasp. That was way too close for comfort. If I'd been just one step further away, it would have been too late to rescue the dog. I probably would have got myself hit for my troubles too. Behind us and across the street, the bag of food lies on its side, some kibbles strewn across the ground, from a spot where it tore open when I dropped it. Whether the dog wants to run away or stay with me is up to him, but I can't just let him get himself hurt or worse. I only have one choice. I hoist the dog up and hold him with one arm, just like the dog food bag, and I go back and retrieve that before we start walking again. He doesn't squirm as much as he did yesterday, which helps a lot, but still, by the time we make it back to the library, my arms feel like they're ready to fall off. When I set the dog down, he strolls up to the library doors as if nothing happened, waiting for me to let him in. I guess in his mind, maybe nothing did happen. He's got no clue how lucky he was. A long time ago, Juliet said that sometimes your best is all you can do. That goes for puppies too. If I had been born a city dog instead of a fox, I doubt it'd be much different. Still, I have to think it's a miracle that any dog makes it to adulthood, especially strays like him. When it's finally time for my meeting, Julia helps me get set up on her computer and then lets me take it to my room. I adjust the screen until I can see it properly, and then I wait. I never cease building until I nearly jump when the call finally comes through. As the ringtone plays, take a deep breath and then hit accept. The tiny person-shaped bubble on the notification dissolves, and for a second just a black screen, and then a woman appears. When the image comes into focus, she squints at the screen, probably waiting just like me. But then she smiles and waves a bit as she's able to see me.
Hello!
Hi, I'm Miho. Nice to meet you. Thanks for talking to me.
I'm Minsa. No problem. Gotta say, I was shocked when I got your friend's email at first. I thought it was gonna turn out to be some kind of scam, and eventually she'd ask for money. I'm still a bit confused, though. So you were friends with my ancestor?
Sort of. I met them when I was really young. I was just a regular fox back then.
Wait. A fox, like with 4 legs and pointy ears?
Yeah. After I met Jong-in, I turned into the person I am today.
Quite literally.
Whoa. So that was a long time ago, huh? But you look even younger than me. Oh, that's just not fair.
Trust me, it has its downsides.
Both of us laugh, and I can't help but be relieved that she already feels easy to talk to.
That explains a lot, at least. So, Jong-in. You're the second person to ask me about them this year, you know? That's 2 times more than most years.
Who was the first?
These guys at some archaeological society who are putting on an exhibition. They wanted permission to display some of their old works.
Oh yeah, shit, the exhibition Miho went to earlier.
Are you the only family they have?
The only one who can use a computer, at least. The only reason I know any of the history is because I had to. Should I tell you everything I know and then you can ask me any questions? No promises if I'll be able to answer them, though.
Sure, that works for me.
Let's see. Well, I'm not related to them by blood, for one thing. They didn't have any kids of their own. But they got married and they and their wife adopted several children. I'm related to one of those kids. They were part of the Young Bun class, a noble and a scholar. But rather than be stuck at home suffering through court life, they hid their identity and snuck away to travel the world instead.
Minso speaks her practiced tone, like she's given the speech a few times. Still, I listen with rapt attention, memorizing every detail.
They spent years on the go, seeing everything they could, before finally coming back home to Korea to settle down and start a family. While they were away, they kept a journal and wrote letters back to their beloved. Although calligraphy was something they were taught from a young age, they began practicing as an artist during their travels. Sometimes, the letters they sent would include paintings of the things they'd seen, or they'd include little drawings in their journal. Something else that they started to do was give a note to the people they met on their journey, with a little message of appreciation or wishes.
Aww.
My husband always says they remind him of fortune cookies.
Oh, I actually have one of those scrolls myself.
I brought my scroll down from my room just in case it came up like this. I unfurled it for the first time since Halloween. Please be happy. I turn the scroll around and hold it up to the camera so Minso can see it. She leans in again, looking closer.
Yeah, that's definitely theirs, all right. And they gave it to you when you were just a fox?
Yeah. Although, I couldn't read it until a couple months ago.
God, it's so hard to read their handwriting, right? I'm like, if they were born today, they totally would have been a doctor. I have a few of them myself, although they're up in the office. Grandma has like 90. She says she has one for every year she's been alive, and I definitely believe that.
Jeez, that's a lot. How many did they give out altogether?
Who knows? If someone told me it was thousands, I'd believe them. I don't know if they gave one to every person they met, but it must have been close.
Huh. I thought mine must be pretty rare.
It's still special. However many there were, I'm sure most haven't lasted this long. Not everyone got a full scroll either. But no. They're not some priceless artifacts that'll sell for a ton of money or something. Otherwise, I'd be talking to you from my mansion by the beach.
That's fine. I'd never sell mine anyway. It's way too important to me.
Yeah, I figured. I'm sure it wasn't easy to keep it safe and in such good condition.
That's for sure. We've been through a lot together.
That's good. I'm sure that's what they would have wanted.
For a while, Minso tells me about Zhongnen's adventures. Even though it's hard for me to picture some of the people and places involved, I still pay close attention. Then all of a sudden, Miso's eyes go wide, like she has some huge revelation.
Oh, I'm an idiot! Hold on, I'll be right back. I have to show you.
Also, I just realized, I swear to God if Mihao's magic is powered by love or something. Because they kinda did that in the Heart of the Woods. Since literally the power of love is what gets you the good ending, which was kind of adorable, and I did like it, but still it's a lot cheesy. And I'm pretty sure that's where this is going as well. She gets up and runs off screen, leaving me with a view of an empty chair and a bookshelf. Instead, I look down at my scroll. Somehow I'd always assumed it was one of a kind, or at least something rare and meaningful. But somehow finding out that it isn't the case doesn't really bother me. Instead, it's nice to think there are so many people to be great. Instead, it's nice to think that they met so many people to be grateful to, or who left an impact on them. If there are thousands of scrolls like men out there, then that's not a bad thing at all. After a few seconds, Minso returns to her computer and sits down, carrying a scroll herself.
This is one that I had in the office. I can't believe I didn't think about this sooner. Sometimes they'd include a butterfly in their signature or hide one in their paintings because they said they were inspired by butterflies to travel with the wind. But then, at some point, instead of butterflies, they started to include something else instead. Can you see her?
She holds the scroll to a camera, to her camera like I did, focusing on one of the corners. There, just below their sign, where they signed their name, is a little picture of a fox. Oh, oh, that's adorable. Of me.
I should have thought of it when you mentioned foxes earlier. At one point, they started using the alias Horim for their work. I don't know if you speak any Korean, but Horim means fox forest. After they started using that name, foxes would show up in their art for the rest of their life.
Aww. The drawing consists of just a few brush strokes that make a head and ears and face. Still, it feels like seeing a photograph of myself. I can picture them smiling as they drew it, as they thought of me. I'd always wondered if our time together was as important to them as it was to me. Hearing that they chose that name practically confirms it.
Thanks for showing me.
I can feel the thread of tears, but somehow I managed to keep my composure.
No problem. Grandma's gonna freak out when I tell her I talked to you.